ask the questions in the end. What will you say? Interactive. So, okay, I will ask you questions, and if you could not understand anything, you can ask me also. Okay, fine. If you need that interactive session, it is very good for you and for me also. So what should be the learning objectives of today's lecture? As I have said that this is chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. So what are the clinical groups? Two diseases are included in it. What two diseases are included in chronic obstructive pulmonary disease? Yes? Anybody? No? Emphysema and what else? Chronic bronchitis and emphysema. Why these two diseases are included in it? Otherwise, there are 4 diseases in it. Not only bronchitis, it is chronic bronchitis. Otherwise, these COPD also include bronchial asthma and bronchiectasis. But these two diseases are grouped together because of the similarity of the signs and symptoms and because of some overlapping of the pathogenesis also. So these two diseases are grouped together clinically, and why asthma is not included in it? Can anybody say that? Yes? Why asthma is kicked out from this clinical group of 2? What is different in asthma? Chronic asthma is acute. It can be there may be acute exacerbations of asthma, but something is different in asthma than these two diseases. These two diseases are, their changes are irreversible. Yes, hypersensitivity is there in asthma, but here in asthma, the changes are reversible and it is episodic. But these diseases are not episodic. They have a progressive trend. Irreversible bronchospasm, yes. And that is secondary to the allergens, and type 1 type of hypersensitivity. Sensitivity is seen in bronchial asthma, but in these 2 diseases, there is an upward trend in the progression of the disease. Mers badhta gaya juju dawa ki, and the changes are irreversible. Okay, that's why they are grouped together. So now what should be the learning objectives? Types of chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. I have already told you there are 4 types, but 2 diseases are grouped together clinically, and asthma and bronchiectasis, they are separate from it. And because there are common there in COPD, in both COPD, there is shortness of breath, breathlessness, and causes of COPD, we will come across with the causes. We will discuss the causes also. Then what is the pathology? Being the pathologist, we are more interested in the pathophysiology of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Then what will be the morphology? How will we identify that this is COPD? If we know the pathology, if we know the morphology, then we can diagnose it. And if we will diagnose it, then we can treat it. And besides the morphology, being the morphologist, I will give the diagnosis to the clinician, and clinician will correlate my findings, my pathology findings, with the findings that are seen in the patient. So clinical features of COPD should also be known to diagnose it and to treat it. So these are our learning objectives, okay? No more confusion so far? Okay, fine. So, what is particular about COPD? It is preventable and treatable disease. We can prevent it. Prevention is better than cure. What is characteristic feature? There is airflow limitation. And this airflow limitation is not fully reversible. Some limitation will remain there because of the changes that are permanently there, that will not be changed. And this airflow limitation will increase by the time. It is progressive. And usually it is associated with abnormal inflammatory response. Inflammatory response is there. And the main and the common enemy of these 2 diseases, that is of the chronic bronchitis and this emphysema, is cigarette smoking. What is there in cigarette smoking? Can anybody tell me? What is notorious in cigarette smoke? Nobody? Is it good or bad? Carbon, nicotine, yes. Tar also, carbon monoxide. More than 67 carcinogens are present in the cigarette smoke. It is very notorious. Okay, fine. Let's go further. Why COPD is important? It is important because it is the only chronic disease that show progressive upward trend in both the morbidity and mortality. Yes, what do you want? Passive smoking has its own sequel. Yes, we are all passive smokers. It is also very bad. That's why we should discourage the smokers to smoke in our vicinity. Okay, smoking should be prohibited. There should be specified areas where a smoker will go and will smoke and will apna shauq pura karega. Okay, we should be very selfish in saying that go and smoke at any other place, not in my vicinity. Okay, it is the only chronic disease showing progressive upward trend in morbidity and mortality, and expected to be the third leading. It is an old figure, so it should have been increased now. Number of smokers in Pakistan is about 25 million. 25 million. 6 million deaths of smoking in the world are there. Out of those 6 million deaths, 100,000 deaths occur in Pakistan. Please turn off your video. Sukana, please turn off your video. Then 75 million is generated from tobacco industry. This tobacco industry is the only industry that kills its best customers because they die of cancers or they die of these or they become morbid. Their morbidity is there. 100 million in public funds they are spent on treating the smoking related diseases. Okay. 6 million passive smokers like you and me. So can I please turn off your video? Please, will you? Okay. Now this is the comparison between obstructive disease and restrictive disease. Two types of diseases are there. One is obstructive, in which there is an obstruction in the flow of the air as we inhale. And there may be a restriction. Flow of air is there, but it is restrictive because of other causes, because of no defect in the conduit of the flow, but rather there are other restrictions. Obstructive disease is characterized by limitation of airflow owing to partial or complete obstruction at any level from trachea to respiratory bronchiole. As you know, there is dichomatous division of the trachea into right and left bronchus. Then right and left bronchus are further divided into, on the right side, there will be 3 bronchi, and then on the left, there will be, on the left, there will be 2. And there will be further division of these bronchi into bronchioles, and up till bronchi, this mucus secreting glands and goblet cells are seen, but they are not present in the bronchioles. Okay. Pulmonary function test, limitation of maximal airflow rate during forced expiration is decreased. FEV1 divided by forced vital capacity is decreased. It is less than 1. It is in obstructive airway disease is labeled when it is 7% or 0.7. This ratio is 0.7. In restrictive airway disease, it is characterized by reduced expansion of the lung parenchyma. Conduit of airflow is okay, but there is restriction in the expansion of the lung parenchyma. Total lung capacity will be increased while the expiratory flow rate is near normal. So this FEV1 and FVC ratio is 1 and it is normal. So it could be because of the chest wall disorders. It could be acute or chronic. This restrictive airway disease. This lecture is not that of the about the restrictive airway disease. It is only for the obstructive. And one of the example is ARDS and pneumoconiosis. Okay, coming to the next slide. This is total lung capacity is called destruction, there is overinflation of these alveoli. We will see when we will see it when we will be describing the pathogenesis. Is chronic bronchitis, there will be productive cough, airway will be narrowed, there will be inflammation of the airway. And then is the asthma. There will be reversible obstruction, and there will be hyper responsiveness of the bronchi to any external or internal allergens. Okay, is it okay with you? Now, what is normal SCNS? What is an SCNS? Anybody? It is interactive session, isn't it? What is SCNS? Nobody? It means you are forgetting your anatomy. No, SCNS is not alveolus. SCNS is something else. Terminal unit, what things are in sac-like? Yes, it is sac-like. What things are included in SCNS? After the terminal bronchiole, yes, it is group of alveoli. After the terminal bronchiole, there will be alveolar sacs are part of it, SCNS, but whole SCNS is composed of alveolar duct. Okay, yes. Exocrine gland, how come? नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. Okay, Tariq, this is terminal bronchiole. After the terminal bronchiole, this is the SCNS. What is included? Respiratory bronchiole is included in it. Apart from that, there will be alveolar duct and alveoli. This whole thing will be SCNS. Okay. Any question? No. Pulmonary atria. What is pulmonary atria? The part of the lung involved in the exchange of gases. Of course, that is the place where the exchange of gases takes place. Okay. These cluster of these terminal bronchioles containing 4 or 5 acini will be lobule of the lung. Okay. Now you know the anatomy of the lung. Okay. Now coming to the next slide. This is the normal anatomy of the lung. Now, irreversible enlargement of the air spaces distal to the terminal bronchiole. In emphysema, where is the pathology? Pathology is distal to the terminal bronchiole. Irreversible enlargement of the air spaces distal to the terminal bronchiole. Here is the pathology. How this pathology occurred? This pathology occurred because of the destruction of the wall of these air spaces. What air spaces? That are distal to the terminal bronchiole. Okay. We will see what caused this destruction. In spite of this destruction, in spite of it, there is no fibrosis, but recently it is said that there occurs some minor fibrosis there. A small airway fibrosis is there, but that fibrosis is distinct from chronic bronchitis. Okay, in chronic bronchitis there is also fibrosis that is secondary to some inflammation. So there is significant a small airway fibrosis distal to the terminal bronchiole is adding to the airflow obstruction that is seen in emphysema, and that airflow obstruction is because of the enlargement of the air spaces. We will say how it is doing that because of that enlargement of the air spaces, why there is obstruction. Now, how do we classify the emphysema? We classify the emphysema that is for ourselves only. It is signs and symptoms are there. Treatment is same, but it is for our satisfaction. That pathologists are very fond of classifying the things. 4 major types are there: centriacinar, panacinar, paraseptal, and irregular. That is all anatomical, and some causes are also underlying it. Okay. This is centriacinar. In centriacinar, this is the terminal bronchiole. This is the respiratory bronchiole that is involved. This respiratory bronchiole is involved and it is dilated. It is dilated Distal part are spared. Yes, very good. Who is this? Muiz Tariq. Yes, very good, Muiz. Distal part is spared. Then what will be the clinical, what will be the pathological picture? What will be the cross picture of it? I will show it to you. It will be like this. They are dilated. You see, they are dilated. These are the alveolar spaces. Alveolar spaces, they are dilated, but there are intermingled with it some non-dilated alveoli also, sacs also. Okay. So the picture is both of the dilated and non-dilated part. Centri-acinar emphysema. Distal part is spared and only the proximal part is involved. Okay. Now this is pan-acinar. Whole of the acinus is involved. Remember one thing, pan-acinar means it is the acinus only that is involved, not the whole lung. It is not pan lung, it is only pan-acinar. Here whole of the lung will be involved. So the gross picture will also be changed. It is like that. You see, all the alveoli, all the sacs, they are dilated, they are enlarged. I will show you why they are enlarged. Can anybody tell me why they are enlarged? Yes, anybody? Who is? No? Okay, we will talk about it later. Then paraseptal emphysema, here the distal part of the whole acinus is involved and distal part is near to the pleura also. This type of emphysema is seen near to the fibrosis or inflammation. Here the distal part is involved. Here emphysematous bulli are formed. Usually these bulli, they are ruptured into the pleura, and this leads to the complication of pneumothorax, spontaneous pneumothorax. This is also, this spontaneous pneumothorax causes collapse of the lung, and it is a medical emergency. And this medical emergency remedy of it is to pass a chest tube to overcome this air that is to suck that air that has entered into the pleural cavity. Okay. Distal part are spared. Elastic tissue scarcity. No, this is not the cause. Okay. Cause to pata hi nahi na. Jab pata hi nahi hota to khamakhai we are classifying it. But here is the picture, and this type of emphysema, it usually associated with cigarette smoking, and that pan-acinar is usually associated with the deficiency, congenital deficiency of what? Muiz Tariq, are you the only one attentive? What about the other ones? Alpha-1 antitrypsin. What is alpha-1 antitrypsin? What it does? Okay, later on we will discuss about it. These are the picture of centri-acinar, centrilobular, panlobular, paraseptal, and irregular. Irregular is usually here and there. And yes, it neutralizes the proteases. Who is this? Abrar. Abrar Zaman, very good. It neutralizes the proteases. We will talk about it later, from where these proteases were coming. It is part of the pathophysiology of the emphysema. Irregular emphysema is seen when there is a scarring, when there is fibrosis. It is here and there. It doesn't affect the clinical picture. It does not affect much of the clinical picture, and usually it is incidental only. This finding irregular emphysema. Okay, bronchitis, emphysema, interactive session, bronchitis and intertheca. Okay. Now coming to the next slide, what is the pathogenesis of emphysema? So there is clear-cut association between heavy cigarette smoking and emphysema. Tell you what, that about 30 to 50% of the heavy smoker, they develop COPD. But 80% of them are cigarette smokers. Okay. Now, centri-acinar emphysema. Clear-cut association is there between heavy cigarette smoking and emphysema. Okay. And century SNR occurs predominantly in heavy smokers in association with chronic bronchitis, and pan SNR is associated with alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. Oh, I love animation. Now, pathogenesis. Coming back to the pathogenesis, I have made a very good animated slide for you. I will show it to you. Okay, tobacco. What is there in the tobacco? Nicotine is there. Nicotine is there, and it also contains reactive oxygen species and free radicals. And you are familiar with reactive oxygen species and free radicals, what they do, why they are notorious. You have read it in cell injury chapter in foundation module. Okay. Now, this nicotine, what it does? It causes activation of macrophages that are present inside the capillaries. And reactive oxygen species and these activated macrophages, they release the inflammatory cytokines, interleukin-8, leukotriene B4, and tumor necrosis factor also. And this reactive oxygen species, they cause this, and this causes activation or recruitment of neutrophils there. Neutrophils were not there because no inflammation was there, but this macrophage that is inside it, it is activated. This nicotine has activated it. And these reactive oxygen species, they have liberated, they have caused release of this interleukin-8, leukotriene B4, and tumor necrosis factor. All these have activated these macrophages. It causes release of certain substances, chemical substances that cause recruitment of these neutrophils. These neutrophils, they also liberate reactive oxygen species. They enhance its population. And they also cause liberation of elastases. You see, these elastases, they are coming from the neutrophils. Then this elastase or these elastases, they cause damage to the tissue. Besides these reactive oxygen species, what they do, they inactivate antiproteases. They inactivate antiproteases. This is functional antitrypsin deficiency. Congenital absence is not there. Enzyme deficiency is not there. Rather, it is inactivated by the reactive oxygen species that were present in the tobacco. You see, this is the beauty of the pathogenesis, I will say. Okay. Now, coming back to our pathogenesis. These reactive oxygen species, they don't only inactivate the antiproteases, they also cause damage to the tissue, directly damage to the tissue. And this causes damage to the tissue. When the tissue is damaged, this causes digestion of the elastase that is present in the wall of these alveoli. What is present in the wall of the alveoli? All of the alveoli is pencil thin at thin parts, and it is adjacent, very much adjacent, rather it is glued to the endothelium. It is glued to the capillary wall, and it is taken as a unit membrane. When the blood enters into the capillary, it can diffuse directly into the alveoli. Okay. Alveolar macrophages are there that are causing the release of all these things. When there is destruction of the elastase that is present inside the wall of these alveoli, what occurs, the elastic recoil of the lung parenchyma adjacent to the small bronchioles, that is the respiratory bronchiole or the terminal bronchiole, they are not supported by it. And this respiratory passage that is continuously opened because of the to let the air flow inside it, that is no more there, and there is trapping of the air inside the alveoli because this elastic recoil is no more there. Okay, what next? What are the mechanical changes? Besides this, goblet cell metaplasia with mucus plugging of the lumen occurs. These goblet cells, they are not present in the bronchioles or small, but rather they are present in the large bronchi and their divisions, but not in the bronchioles. But here there will be metaplasia. What is the lining epithelium of the respiratory tree? Anybody? Yes? Anybody? Nobody? Lining epithelium of the respiratory tract. Nobody knows? मुझे तो पता है. Pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium, and only the vocal cords, they are lined by stratified squamous epithelium. So there will be metaplasia. This pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium is there, but in the bronchioles there will be no goblet cell, but there occurs metaplasia of goblet cell. Now what is metaplasia? You know about it. What is metaplasia? Anybody? अच्छा, आप लोग कुछ कह रहे हैं. I'm not seeing it. Pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium and simple squamous in alveoli. No simple squamous in alveoli. No, never. अच्छा, change of cell type. Change of cell type. What do you mean by it? Changing of epithelial type. Yes. Change in cell integrity and function. Metaplasia means it is the replacement of one adult type of cell from another adult type of cell. There is no change in the cell. I am Dr. Tazeen. By no means I can ever become Muiz Tariq. But Muiz Tariq can replace me. He can become a professor and can replace me. But this will be because of his efforts. This will be because there will be a stimulation. So here the stem cells are reprogrammed and they are producing these goblet cells. Okay, this is the difference between change and replacement. Squamous to columnar, yes, very good. Metaplasia, for example, conversion of fibrous tissue to bone, yes, very good. Okay, now coming further, infiltration of the wall with neutrophils. Besides this metaplasia, there is infiltration of the cells with neutrophils. Macrophages will be there because alveolar macrophages are already there. B cells, CD4 and CD8 cells, they will infiltrate in the wall. And bronchiolar wall will be thickened. Why it will be thickened? Because there will be smooth muscle hypertrophy and peribronchial fibrosis will be there. So these are the mechanical changes that will occur here and that will cause obstruction to the airflow. Besides the overinflation of the alveoli. This is mechanical. Other one is functional. Let's see how this functional happens. I have already told you that there is patency of the airways is because of the elastic recoil of the lung parenchyma, and this elastic recoil of the lung parenchyma is because of the presence of elastic tissue in the wall of the these acini, in the wall of these alveoli. Loss of elastic tissue, will occur around the respiratory bronchioles. Loss because it was digested by the elastases and proteases that are liberated by the neutrophils. Then when it is no more stretch force is there, there will be collapse of these respiratory bronchioles in expiration. They will not remain patent to come in and go out. It is not okay. As well as functional airflow obstruction. Area to volume ratio. That is of the exchange of the gases only. Yes, very good. That is for the exchange of gases. Now, what will be the morphology? In advanced gross appearance, there will be the voluminous lung. Lung will be big in size, so much big that they will overlap the heart. Upper two-thirds of the lung is more severely affected usually because in centrilobar lobular centri SNR, it is the upper lobes that are more involved and that is more common. There might be large apical blabs or bulli. I have told you what are bulli. In paraseptal, there may occur bulli formation, and these bulli may rupture into the pleural cavity. Blabs or bulli will be there, and characteristic of irregular emphysema secondary to scarring. And alveoli will be large in volume. These alveoli will be larger in volume. Then microscopically, there will be loss of attachment of the alveoli with small airways. I have told you why it was occurring. Large alveoli will be separated by thin septi. Focal centri SNR fibrosis may be there. The pores of cone will be large, and you know what is pores of cone because you know the anatomy, I presume. Alveolar walls are destroyed. Alveolar walls are destroyed. No more elastic tissue is there. No more wall is there. It is all eaten up by the neutrophils. There will be prolonged vasoconstriction that will lead to the changes that are seen in pulmonary hypertension. Later on, when we will be dealing with pulmonary hypertension, you will appreciate the changes. Yes, pores of cone are alveolar pores. Who is this? Muistaria? Are you the only one in the class? So there will be destruction of the capillary bed also because these capillaries are present in between the two walls of the two walls of the alveoli. There will be formation of blabs and bulli, and inflammatory changes in small airways will be there, but that will be the secondary effect. Not these changes are occurring because of the inflammation. Okay. Then this is the normal picture. Okay. This is the normal alveoli. Alveoli are there. This is normal. And this is damaged alveoli. You see, they are large in number, large in diameter. Size is more. Again, this is emphysematus here. All of the SNS is involved here. Okay. Yeah. Why it is behaving me like that? Now, clinical picture. What will be the clinical picture? Unless 1/3 of the lung is involved, symptoms will not appear. Now, what are the symptoms? There will be dyspnea. Dyspnea means shortness of breath. To start with, it will be mild dyspnea, and it will be insidious in onset. Slowly and gradually, this dyspnea will increase. There will be cough. There will be wheezing, like asthma. Somebody will say that this patient is asthmatic. No, he is not asthmatic. He is developing this emphysema. There will be extreme weight loss, so much so that the doctor will say, or doctor will presume that perhaps this patient is having some underlying malignancy. With severe emphysema, the chest will be barrel-shaped. Patient will sit in a hunched over position and will breathe through pursed lips, like that. Spirometry is the key to diagnosis. What spirometry will say? Lung function test will show you that the FEV1 is less than 1. Why? What is the cause of death? Respiratory acidosis and coma, because exchange of gases is not there. Right-sided heart failure because of the pulmonary hypertension, because of the pulmonary fibrosis, gradual destruction of the lung tissue. This is called right-sided heart failure, is secondary to the, yes, pink puffers are there. Right-sided heart failure secondary to lung lesion is called, do you know what is the term used for that? Cor pulmonale. Yes, very good, cor pulmonale. And there might be massive collapse of the lung secondary to the pneumothorax. Now, chronic bronchitis. This was all about, if any question is there regarding emphysema, you can ask now, you can ask later on. Also, you can ask at any time in my office also. What is chronic bronchitis? Chronic bronchitis definition is very important because most of the time this 3 is replaced by 2 at wrong places whenever we ask you about the definition of chronic bronchitis. So listen carefully. Clinically, it is defined as persistent cough with sputum production. There should be productive cough for at least 3 months, continuous productive cough for 3 months in at least 2 consecutive years. Hota kya hai? You say that 2 months, 3 consecutive years. Ulta ho jata hai. And this thing will be labeled as chronic bronchitis if any other identifiable cause of these symptoms and signs is not there. Okay. Clinically persistent cough with sputum production for at least 3 months in at least 2 consecutive years in the absence of any other identifiable cause. This was the definition. Now, hua kya? There is decline in lung function. Lung function is declining. This might lead to cor pulmonale and heart failure. Right-sided heart failure, then congestive heart failure. It may cause atypical metaplasia. Atypical metaplasia means dysplasia. What is dysplasia of the respiratory epithelium? What is dysplasia? Yes. Anybody? Sidratul Muntaha, loss of cell architecture. No. Can you refine this? Dysplasia? Abnormal change of epithelium. Yes. What change? यही तो मालूम करना है ना भाई. क्या हुआ क्या? अहमद? क्या हुआ? Dysplasia. This means disordered. Plasia means growth. Abnormal presence of abnormal cells in the disordered growth. Yes. Disordered growth, disorganized cellular growth leading to neoplastic. Disordered growth, loss of polarity is there. Abnormal cells or immature cells, they are seen in the epithelium throughout its thickness. Otherwise, these new cells, they are near to the basement membrane, and as they grow up, as they mature, they are ascending up to the surface. Before perforation of basement membrane. Perforation of basement membrane, it means invasion. When invasion is not there, then it is dysplasia, and dysplasia is graded accordingly. Mild, moderate, severe. Okay. Now, next slide. Pathogenesis. Of course, cigarette smoking. Common enemy. Exposure to noxious or irritating inhaled substances such as tobacco smoke. What it does? It causes irritation of the airways. It causes irritation of the conduit because it is mixed with the air that is patient or the person is inhaling. So, chali to gayi air, but it is irritating the wall of that passage. So to overcome this, to protect the passage, to protect the wall surface, what nature does, it orders the goblet cell, it causes the mucus producing cells to secrete more and more mucin to neutralize its effects. Besides this, there occurs hypertrophy of the submucosal glands in the trachea and bronchi. Hypertrophy हो जाएगा उन glands का, ताकि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा to make increased number of mucin. Okay, increase in goblet cells in small airways. Small airways में तो goblet cell थे ही नहीं. क्या हुआ, मेटाप्लेजिया हो गया और जो थोड़े बहुत थे उनका नंबर इंक्रीज हो गया. स्मॉल ब्रोंकाई एंड ब्रोंक्यूल्स दे आर इंक्रीज्ड. Then they occur excessive. अब क्या किया? They both together work together hard and they produce more and more of mucin. More and more mucin was for the benefit of the wall. They were trying to paint the wall with it, but this mucin is overproducing now, is overproduced now, and it is forming a bolus-like thing, a ball-like thing, and this causes airway obstruction. And this is exacerbated by inflammation. This is when inflammation is there, repair is there. So it will be, things will become more worse when inflammation is, this regeneration will be there. And this regeneration after inflammation is with the fibrous tissue, so there will be fibrosis. So this infection or superadded infection will cause acute or exacerbation of that obstruction. Obstruction was because of the increased production of mucin, also because of the hypertrophy or increase in the number of those mucin producing glands also. So there will be an hypertrophy of the glands, there will be hypertrophy or increase in the number of the goblet cells. They both are producing more and more of the mucin. They both are causing, they both are adding to the trouble. They were trying to overcome the problem, but rather when things are in excess, they are not beneficial, they become notorious then. Okay, understood? Now अब क्या करें, अब हम चलें आगे. Yes, cigarette smoke, it predisposes to infection because of that irritation. Whenever any insult to the body reacts in the form of inflammation. So inflammation is the reaction of the living vascularized tissue, isn't it? That was the definition of inflammation. So this is an intruder. This is causing an injury. This is causing an insult to the mucous membrane of the tree of the airflow. So this infection, it interferes with ciliary action of the respiratory epithelium. What was the ciliary action of the respiratory epithelium? What was it meant for? Respiratory epithelium has cilia for what? Anybody? It seems I am interacting with myself only. It is not an interactive session. To remove the mucus from the airway. Yes, to remove the dirt particles. In retrograde fashion, it will push up, trap the pathogen. Very good, very good. Now you are responding. So interferes with ciliary. This ciliary action will no more be there. When this ciliary action will be there, those infective agents will remain there. This mucus will remain there. Rather, it will plug in there. So things will become worse, cause direct damage to the respiratory epithelium. It inhibits the ability of the bronchial and alveolar leukocyte to clear the bacteria. ठीक है, ठीक है. So viral infections can also cause exacerbations of chronic bronchitis. Not only the bacterial, viral infection, they may provoke inflammation, they may cause this exacerbation. Okay. This is the same thing. Now, clinical features. What are the clinical features? Cardinal symptoms, of course, persistent cough, productive of sparse sputum initially, then there will be a large amount of sputum also. There will be dyspnea on exertion, there will be hypercapnia, increase in the respiratory rate, there will be decrease in the oxygen, and this will cause mild cyanosis, blue blotters. Why in emphysema they are pink puffers? नहीं पता? पता है. Because they are well oxygenated. Oxygen is there, it is trapped in there. Yes. So they are pink puffers. Long standing chronic bronchitis will lead to cor pulmonale. तबाही है, तबाही है. And ultimately there will be cardiac failure. Death may occur from superimposed acute infections. अब तक क्या था? Infections कहीं ना थे. What was there? It was the smoke of the cigarette. Not only of the cigarette, in environment also, there are a lot of pollutants are here. Okay, not only passive smokers, they also suffer from it. And we are inhaling a lot of fumes that are coming from the factories, that is coming from the exhaust of the vehicles. Okay. This is the summary. Chronic bronchitis, chronic cough, shortness of breath, increased mucus, frequent clearing of throat. क्यों हो रही है? जब तक ciliary action is intact, the bolus and that mucus ball, it will come up in the throat and we will try to clear our throat. Okay. Emphysema, chronic cough is there, yes. Shortness of breath, dyspnea will be there. To start with, it will be mild, then gradually it will increase. And so it will lead, this increased shortness of breath will ultimately lead to limitation in the activity level. I think time is up. Okay. Reed index. What is Reed index? It is important. Reed index is the ratio of the thickness of mucous glands to the wall from the epithelium to the cartilage. Epithelium to the cartilage. This is the ratio. Normally it is 0.4, but in chronic bronchitis, this ratio increases. Okay, this is Reed index. It is altered. This is the normal. Inflammation is there here of the tree, of this conduit, of their air passages, and there will be increased production of the mucus or mucin. Okay. Here, this is the normal lumen of the air passage, and this lumen is narrowed. You see, Reed index is high here, and this is the plug, mucus plug, that is exacerbating the situation, that is worsening the situation. Not only the thickness of this tree is there, it is further, this lumen is further narrowed because of the collection of this mucin plug here. Okay, for emphysema, is there always a barrel chest? Yes. Later on, there will be barrel shaped chest. So this is normal epithelium. This just to tell you what is metaplasia. This is the basement membrane. Normal columnar epithelium is there. That is the cilia are missing here. These are the reverse cell. From the reverse cell, as this epithelium is shedding down, these reverse cells, they are now developing into squamous cells. So that's why this squamous cell carcinoma is seen in the bronchi and bronchiole, because of the replacement of this type of epithelium into this type of epithelium. This is the histological diagram of it. Okay. Thank you. If you have any question to ask, you can ask me now. I will not say never. Now and now. No questions? It means you have understood it completely. Okay. Madam, what is bullous emphysema? Yes, bullous emphysema is irregular type of emphysema where here and there it is near to the scars, it is near to the fibrosis. That is bullous emphysema. These are the variants of emphysema. If you want to have a very good command on this subject, you do one thing. There is a chapter in the book, and part of that chapter is for COPD. I think 2 or 3 pages are covering this. I think 2 or 3 pages, yes, are covering this emphysema and chronic bronchitis. Read it now. You will never forget in your life. Yes, Robbins. Pathological basis of the disease. You can go with the basic also. Is there always increased chance of cor pulmonale complication after? Not always, but as you see, there is an upward trend in the pathogenesis, in the pathology. It is progressive. You can't stop it. So as it is progressive, ultimately the patient will develop cor pulmonale. There are chances. You know, there are variations in the disease response from patient to patient, because we are having a different genetic makeup. You and me are different. So for response to the injury, response to these notorious substances is also different. Not every smoker is developing emphysema or COPD. Not every smoker is developing this cancer. Only, madam, would we be taught? Yes, this is included in your module also, this COVID-19. I think 1 or 2 lectures will be on it, and Dr. Pushpa will take it.